Alright, hello everyone, Adrenaluke here. It is time for another episode of ACC Dirty Driving. If this is your first time watching this series, basically my goal in this series is to both expose dirty drivers for everyone to see, and to also serve as an educational series to show people what not to do and how to avoid accidents occurring. I have 4 absolute clowns to expose today, and we're going to rank them in order of how dirty they are, with 4th place being the least dirty of the 4, and 1st place being the most dirty. So, taking the 4th place position is this guy and the black and blue McLaren right here, and we were at Spa, and he was racing kind of decent around me for a while until I get to the side of him. See, because up until this point, I was behind him, and I was being real patient to make sure it was clear to go for an overtake, and I do a very fair move on him, and it's coming up right up here. I'm in the black Lamborghini behind him, and this idiot in the McLaren, look at this, okay, we're going to slow it down, and it's coming up very soon here, so we're going to slow it down here, and look at this. I pull up to the side of him because he's going slower. He starts to give me room to the right, but instead he was just pulling to the right to line it up to where he can take a shot at me, turns real sharp on me, boom, and just decides to just nail me right off the track. My car's spinning now, and I go all the... Look at how hard of a hit that was. And I go flying way up into the barrier. I thought he turned to the right side, towards the inside of the turn, to give me room when I was passing around the outside. He was already in the optimal place. He had a shorter distance to travel than me, but no, he pulled to the right side to line it up. You guys saw it right there. He pulled to the right side to line up a big shot at me to just slam me off. The one time I even pulled to the side of him, guys. That was the first time I pulled to the side of him, and he does that. So anyways, that's the 4th place spot for today's episode, and that's already pretty dirty, so that should give you an idea of the absolute circus that you're about to witness of the other 3. So, let's move on to the 3rd place spot. Alright, now taking the 3rd place spot, before I show you guys an overhead view of this, or any camera angle that really shows everything that went on, I want to put things in perspective. You're going to watch this from how I saw it when it rolled out, from my point of view. So this was how it went down with me driving. And I want you guys to see this view first, because it really will show you guys how it just made me think, what on earth was that? Okay, so let's watch it from my point of view here first. Watch this. Yeah! 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 I have so many questions. I have so many questions, but I wanted to show you guys my view there first to really, just to put things in perspective. But let's go to that idiot in that Porsche now. There we go. And I have so many questions. So many questions. But let's try to figure out what on earth happened here. So let's get an overhead view here. Let's go back a little. And let's slow the footage way down. Okay, so it looks like he's way off track. Not sure how he ended up there. Probably braked way too late or something. But he's gonna decide now, okay. If he's gonna rejoin here, first of all, you should make sure there's no traffic around you. Second of all, look, he's cycling around here. Like, he's at first doing everything decent. He's going around. Now look, he should be right on track to where if he keeps going right here, wait for those 3 cars to pass, and then just go straight ahead from where the Porsche's angled right there. Don't turn the wheel anymore. Just go straight ahead, enter right there after those 3 cars pass. That would have been perfect. It would have been a perfect rejoin. I don't know why you had to do this, but instead, no. His brain decides, you know what? Even though these people behind me have nothing to do with me, screw them. I'm going to attempt to take them out, because he actively turns the same direction that active traffic is moving, and he's going to cut across this turn in what looks like an attempt to T-bone me or the Lamborghini ahead of me. Because look at this. Look at this. He's making no... Like, guys, this is so ridiculous. Look at it. He's going straight ahead of me. Right there. Like, what kind of a rejoin is that? Look at how close I came to hitting him, too. Look at that! That's so close! And I didn't even see him until I was right around the... You know what? That Lamborghini that was in front of me, he was pitting, and I guarantee you, if he wasn't going inside of the pits there, he would have hit that Porsche. Because he was further ahead than me by only a little bit, and we would have been close together going around that hairpin, and that Porsche would have slammed into that other Lamborghini. So you can't tell me that this wasn't an attempt to take us out. You cannot tell me that wasn't an attempt. The guy cut straight across a turn, going right in front, and not just going in front of us, but going sideways in front of us, and still actively going the entire time. You cannot tell me that was not an attempt, a malicious attempt at that, to try to take at least one of us out, when we had nothing to do with him. I have no idea why some people are like this, and that's why that guy takes a third place spot, because that's just ridiculous, guys. Moving on to the second place spot. Well, folks, we have 2 more clowns to expose in this circus, and this guy right here is taking the second place spot for a reason. What you're about to see is so despicable. This guy should uninstall this game permanently and be banned forever. I cannot stand people like this. So here's what's, just watch this. Okay, so he's gonna cut across the track right up here. Watch this. He was in third. He's gonna go right past the guy in second place by going way off the track, and he's not braking, still not braking. Now he brakes, but he goes off the brakes to try to catch up to me. He's trying to line up a shot. He's back on the brakes now, only because he's trying to line up a big hit on me and wants to not be going too fast. He's calculating. Look at this. I'm turning to the right. He starts to turn more to the right after I'm going more to the right. He realizes he's not going fast enough to hit me, so he doesn't commit anymore. And that was a failed attempt to ram me. Absolutely shameful attempt. You can see how just fast he was going over that turn. Sideways, again, trying to T-bone me. Just like that Porsche earlier. And he goes flying over that sausage curb. Airborne. Like, what is wrong with people? This is a different guy than the Porsche and a different guy than the McLaren. These people are rampant on public lobbies. What is wrong with people? I mean, if you got... Let's analyze this one more time. Let's go back. Look at this. So, let's go back a little bit more. Slowing it as much down as we can. This is maximum slow motion. He's in third place here. The guy in second place, he just decides, you know what? I'm not even going to slow down for this turn. I'm just going to be flooring it way past him, going off the track. And then look, he sees me in the distance. He starts to turn more off the track to try to line up a shot to me. Look at this. He's turning more off the track. More off the track. He's not trying to rejoin before this turn. And he goes off the brakes there to try to pick up the pace to catch more up to me. And then he goes back on the brakes to try to slide on the brakes in an effort to try to ram me. And look at this. He doesn't start to turn right until he sees that he's not lined up with me anymore. And then, why would you purposely go over that sausage curb? The only reason you do that is because you're trying to hit me. And he stops committing on aiming towards my car when he realizes he's not at the pace to hit me. He realized that he wasn't going fast enough to hit me, and that's why he wasn't committed anymore. But up until that, he was incredibly committed and lining that up to try to hit me. It's a good thing that I went through that turn fast enough, because if he would have ruined my race that way when I was in the lead, I would have probably just turned off my console in a rage quit. And in fact, there's the most dirty driver I've actually ever come across in ACC is one that unfortunately will never make an appearance on these videos, because that's exactly what happened. There was somebody that did make me so upset in a lobby at Spa that after what he did to me, I literally just hit my home button on my PlayStation controller, and I instantly turn off the PS5, and I just kind of like slam down my controller and just storm out of the room. That's how mad I was, because I'll tell you guys a little story here before we move on to the #1 spot in today's video. So story time. Gather around the fire in the living room, guys. It's story time. So, because I can't show you guys a video, I'm just going to have to explain this. Because like I said, I just rage quit, and that's why I couldn't save any footage of it. So anyways, I was at Spa a couple months ago, and there was a guy that in the first lap, in the rolling start, before you go green, when everyone's in the formation lap, he goes flying past everyone, you know, kind of like what people did in my first episode of Dirty Driving ACC, okay? So he does that, and he goes flying way up past Eau Rouge and all that. He's like halfway across the track, for crying out loud, by the time we start the race. And then he just parks on the track and waits for us to catch up. And, of course, I was in the lead. Well, I was in second place because he illegally took the lead in the beginning. But he was ahead of me, and I would have been in the lead. I'm coming up to him, and, you know, he was parked on the side of the track until I'm coming up, and then he starts to move, and then he just turns sharply to the side, of course, and then slams into my car. And he does that once, but then as I'm crashed, he just hits me a second time when I'm like parked and wrecked already. So the fact that he did that 2 times, I mean, clearly that's intentional, right? So you'd think that's it, but no, that's not the end of him at all. So he does that, and then he just continues on his way. I'm in shock, so I'm kind of just sitting there. And then I eventually pull back out, but I wait until the track's clear to re-enter. My car's so severely damaged that I need to box, so I'm making my way towards pit lane. And when I eventually get to pit lane, guess who is parked sideways trying to block as much road as he can before the final hairpin of the lap at Spa? It's the same guy that I ran into earlier. And he's parked sideways to where his car's blocking like 80% of the track, because you know that the hairpin is a very tight place. And he deliberately just parked his car sideways there, waiting for me after everyone else passed, because I was far behind everyone because of how damaged my car is. So I don't know why he was still having a target painted on me. But anyways, yeah, when I finally make it up there, he's parked sideways like an absolute clown at that hairpin, and I literally just also parked my car. I'm facing him, he's facing me, and it's just awkward, and we both just sit there for what feels like an eternity until eventually I try to pull around behind him. He slams it into reverse as I'm going behind him, and he tries to reverse into me. He misses, and then I decide, you know what? If I try to go into pit lane, he's probably going to wreck me on my way there too, so I'm just going to see if I can make a getaway from this guy. And I don't know why I did that. I should have just went into pit lane. But anyways, I start going towards turn number 1 as fast as I can, but you got to slow way down for turn number 1 at Spa, as you guys know. And so I tried to do something to where I'd try to dodge him, to where I thought he's going to predict me going towards the inside, so I just kind of hung around the outside when I braked. But for whatever reason, he actually aimed for the outside, and he didn't predict me turning into turn number 1. So he slams into the back of my car again, and then after I'm wrecked, this time, he hits me 2 additional times. So he ran me 3 times at turn number 1 there. Like, I was AFK then because I was just in so much shock at what I'm witnessing. I'm not even touching the gas, the brakes, the steering wheel, anything. My car's just idle, sitting there with the engine stalled because of how hard he's hitting me. And then he just decides to hit me again. And then he's probably laughing over there. And then he hits me a 3rd time. And by that point, I just was so angry that I just turned off the PS5 and just stormed out of the room. So that's why we don't have footage of that. I really should have saved footage of that before I rage quit, but I was just... You know how emotions are when some people ruin your race, because it was a brilliant, well, I would say it was a brilliant first lap up until that point. I mean, I barely got to enjoy that race for long until that guy ruined it. But sorry for the long story time there, guys. Thanks for bearing with me there. At least I got to describe to you guys what happened there. That is by far the most filthy driver I've ever encountered. And you guys have to take my word for it. I know that I don't have it on camera, but I promise you guys that did happen exactly how I described it. I'm not exaggerating any of it. And it's unbelievable. And I really should have saved footage of that. But anyways, the moment you've been waiting for, let's move on to the number 1 spot for the most dirty driver in today's episode. And here it is, guys. The number 1 first place spot for the most dirty driver in today's episode. And I apologize for the fact that I couldn't, I forgot to save the highlights at the end of it. So this is just instead footage of my point of view while I was driving. That's the best I could do because I couldn't save the highlights. Sorry about that, guys. But look ahead of me, that Honda NSX just took out that McLaren. And so now watch this. He's going to slow down out of nowhere right in front of me, way before the braking zone. And then look at that. He tried to take me out. He absolutely tried to take me out there. So he intentionally tried to turn into my car. And that's after he took out that McLaren back there. So anyways, that was despicable. That guy deliberately took out that McLaren, obviously, because when I pulled up to the side of him, if you were looking closely enough, and now I can't slow down the footage here because it is not a highlight, and we can't do different camera angles, but
you could clearly see, if you go back and just replay it on YouTube, you can on the YouTube video, if you just slide the video back and just watch it again, you can clearly see that Honda NSX driver, after he took out that McLaren, he sharply turned when he saw my car approaching. It was way before the turn was there. He also braked before the braking zone. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. And he caused that McLaren guy to leave. And what you guys don't know is that this was actually a packed lobby before this guy joined, and he was hitting a lot of people during the qualifying and the practice leading up to this race. And so he dropped the lobby down from well over 8 people to down to just myself. That's it for today's video, guys. Race fast, race clean, and I'll see you all in the next video.